How do you have meaty discussions with your teenagers? One of the best parts of life is having great discussions with the people you love. This is a top goal for my family and homeschool.
Welcome to the Charlotte Mason High School podcast.
I'm so excited to share this discussion that I had with Adalyn, who's 15, and Esther, who's 14, on the third part of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The first two parts were okay, but I knew it would get good. And the reason I knew that is because, number one, we had something worthy to read. Where people mess up the discussion potential they have with their children is thinking that the insights come from themselves. But that's not true. They come from your children interacting with the author's ideas. When your kids speak, do you expect valuable insights to come out of their mouths? It's very easy to daze out when my kids are speaking. Why do I do that? Because I don't expect what they say to be important and valuable. So I've worked on disciplining myself when my kids are talking to really listen to what ideas they're interacting with. When I'm confident that they're going to have important insights, I can listen carefully and take them one step further.
We want you to read with us, so you can look it up and read along on your phone. You can print it off so you have a copy to write on. If you watch this on YouTube, you can follow the captions, or you can just listen.
So enjoy this great discussion on the Rime of the Ancient Mariner Part 3. You can literally see growth throughout the discussion in our lives, and I would not trade that for the world. Adalyn, will you recall what has happened in the poem so far?
Yes. So in the first chapter, we've had this old man who's stopped a guy who's trying to get to a wedding. But then he's telling him, the old man is telling the wedding guest this story about how he shot an albatross, which is this like good omen on his journey somewhere, because he's an old ancient mariner. And so he shoots it, and then in the next chapter, everybody's like, oh, whatever, right? They think that blessings come upon them. But then everything starts going completely downhill. The sails drop, there's no wind, there's no water anymore. That's not salt water. And so they're gonna die of thirst, it sounds like. And it's all the mariner's fault.
Good. Esther, do you want to add anything?
I wonder if it is actually the mariner that's talking. It could not be.
This week,
I was thinking like it's the ancient mariner's ghost coming back and trying to tell his story and pass it on to somebody else.
Okay, as a seed thought, I wanted to bring up something I don't think we really talked about, but it's super significant. The last stanza on part the second. Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young.
instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung.
So what significance is there in hanging a cross about your neck?
And then, thus, what is the significance of having an albatross hung about your neck?
A cross signifies that you're God-fearing and that you're under his blessing.
What if the albatross is like the opposite? Like it's a bad omen.
Mm-hmm. So instead, it's like the mark of
Cain in after he murders Abel.
Yeah. Evil guy.
Yeah.
Curse. Right.
Okay, well, let's see.
All right. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, part the third. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched, and glazed each eye. A weary time, a weary time. How glazed each weary eye. When looking westward, I beheld a something in the sky.
At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at last a certain shape, I wist.
A speck, a mist, a shape I wist. And still it neared and neared, as if it dodged a water sprite. It plunged and tacked and veered.
With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could not laugh nor wail.
Through utter drought, all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail! A sail!"
With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, agape they heard me call. Gramercy they for joy did gran, and all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all.
See, see, I cried, she tacks no more. Hither to work us wheel, without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies with upright keel.
The western wave was all aflame. The day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad, bright sun. When that strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun.
And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother send us grace! As if through a dungeon grate he peered, with broad and burning face.
Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun, like restless gossameres?
Are those her ribs, through which the sun did peer, as through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate?
Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was white as leprosy. The nightmare, life and death was she, who thicks man's blood with cold.
The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I've won! I've won! Quoth she, and whistles thrice.
The sun's rim dips, the stars rush out. At one stride comes the dark. With far-heard whisper, o'er the sea, off shot the spectre bark.
We listened and looked sideways up. Fear at my heart, as at a cup, my lifeblood seemed to sip.
The stars were dim, and thick the night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar the horned moon, with one bright star within the nether tip.
One after one, by the star-dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang, and cursed me with his eye.
4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one.
The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe, and every soul, it passed me by, like the whiz of my crossbow.
Wow.
That's
What an ending.
ending, yeah.
That was actually a really interesting, very good section.
Esther, will you narrate?
So they're going along, and apparently the main character is the man who is the watchman. So he's standing there and he sees a sail, and it's in the edge of the sun. He bites his arm, draws his blood, and then he's able to yell because his mouth was so parched he can't speak. He said, "A sail, a sail." And then the ship came up, and it was really scary looking. And so apparently there was a woman, and she was blonde, and she had white skin, and she looked like a nightmare embodied with that very death. It sounds terrifying. She was horrible looking. And then I got really confused, and it seemed to break off. But at first it sounded like the woman is alone on the ship, and then there's 30 men there too, and they just die and drop one by one. He heard them whiz by, their spirits, as they went to heaven. And I want to really point out that the very last word was crossbow, and it's had something to do with crosses in the last paragraph of all 3 sections.
Yeah.
So let's go back and read all 3 of them.
Okay.
God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why lookest thou so? With my crossbow, I shot the albatross.
Nice. So the end of the second part.
Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung.
And the last section of part the 3rd is the souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe, and every soul it passed me by like the whiz of my crossbow. So I really think that the crossbow is haunting him, and the albatross is too, and just the tross. And so that's a huge theme.
Yeah.
Just the sound, I guess. Cross and albatross.
Yeah.
Adalyn, you want to add anything?
The men on the ship that the mariner was on were dying, right?
So she was killing the men on their ship.
Yeah, the nightmare life and death was she.
So I was thinking you've got death and you have life in death. They were gambling for men's souls, throwing the dice, and she won. But I'm surprised that the men were dying because I thought she won.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So then I would think if death won, they would die. But if she won, maybe they would have a...
What if they were gambling over the mariner, not the men? Like, they were gonna die. It would be opposite. So whoever got the mariner.
Yes. And so he may have this existence in life that's not true life. It's like a living death.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Also, it said 4 times 50 men, not 30. So that means 200 guys just died except for the mariner. So that's how he's the only survivor.
Because
So he didn't eat everybody.
No, he didn't eat everybody.
That would
But
be
he
really sad.
is probably more like you were saying, a spirit.
Mm.
You know how you were saying the ancient mariner came back, not necessarily alive, but mostly dead.
Yeah, his life in death survived.
Okay, if you just told me life and death, I would think resurrection. But it's a nightmare, so I don't think it means resurrection.
I have no idea what it means.
I think it means it's so bad that it's death, but not truly, because you're still alive. Like fate worse than death kind of stuff.
So it's like I'm living, but there's nothing good about it. Yeah. So it's like death, a living death. We'll see. I think that will be very developed.
I wonder if she's going to become his best friend.
So she's a nightmare. You know, I don't know.
Or his guide.
I wouldn't want a nightmare or a life and death as my guide, nor my best friend.
I don't know. Do you want death or life and death as your friend?
Yeah. Who would you rather have win your soul in a game of dice? Death or life and death?
Death.
I would go with death as well. Life and death sounds like a fate worse than death.
Mhm.
Like there's an eternal misery.
I would go life and death because I think you may be able to earn yourself out of it.
See, death, I feel like you could get a peaceful one. There would be no pain behind it, but life and death sounds like it's just going to be painful all the way through till the day that you die.
Esther's idea is a very Greek mythology type. You know, like you can earn your way, go through these trials, and you'll get out of this.
Like Hercules.
What does life and death remind you of? I think this is another kind of theme people talk about or think about. Even Harry Potter ghosts. Why are they ghosts? There's something incomplete in their life, and it's not really preferable to be a ghost. There's no completion.
Nearly Headless Nick says that he wish he had just not been a ghost. He wish he had just gone through the other door.
It reminds me of paths of the dead in Lord of the Rings a little bit. Because they have to pass through the paths of the dead, and that's basically the most terrifying thing ever for a mortal man. And they are ones who have not completed their task.
Yeah.
The dead are. I guess we would call them undead.
Yeah.
Where they broke the oath that they said they would do. So they are forced to do it again, and they are terrifying. That reminds me of what it was.
Yeah. What if the mariner has something incomplete? You know, why?
And they shot the albatross.
Yeah.
He's got to make up for it somehow or live out his life in shame of that albatross. Even if nobody knows that he did it, it's still going to like haunt him. And then it's going to come back like karma, you know, even if nobody knows that you've done it, it's still going to come back on you. That's a punishment from God. People think that they can get away with stuff, but it comes back to haunt them.
Yeah. You know, none of us have ever said that this book is really about animal cruelty. I mean, but how do we know that it's not really? I know it's not. Just, well, don't shoot birds. That's the point, right?
But no.
But how do you know that it's not? This is what I think about at night.
Maybe because it's a mystical animal. It's not a real one. Because it's obviously this good omen that's blessing them. Like a unicorn, you know?
Yeah, who would do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of the fluffy ones on rainbows. But an actual unicorn in its true form is a thing of beauty and terror.
So maybe it's because we know the point is not that he shot a bird. He shot a blessing.
Yes.
Or something. He shot the opportunity for a blessing and he just pulled back his crossbow. Bing!
What is the significance of the crossbow? What is a crossbow? Well, we know what a crossbow is, but if it was a symbolic thing, what would its symbolism be?
So in this, at least, the crossbow was the means by which he destroyed his opportunity for blessing. And everybody else died, too.
What if that's a Christ connection? I don't know. Like Jesus was an amazing blessing, but then they hung him on a cross
Oh, yeah.
and executed him. So like a crossbow.
Right.
And then this blessing.
You destroyed your own blessing.
Yeah.
Like you crucified Christ.
Yeah. It's like Hebrews. I'm totally paraphrasing, but how are you going to be saved if you're going to kill the Messiah? If you're rejecting him, it's like you're crucifying him again. There's no hope for you. So this albatross was bringing good wind, we think, right? In the beginning, it was bringing good things, but nothing good will happen if you destroy your means of blessing.
Honestly, based off that picture, I think I'd shoot the albatross too.
Looks like a goose.
It's scary.
It's like almost as big as the man himself. But the ancient mariner, when he's telling the story, he doesn't have an albatross on his neck. So somehow that disappears.
The body has to rot at some point.
Oh, wait.
So we're going to scientific instead of theological.
What if he has a bone or something from it and that's still hung around his neck, but he like hides it?
One thing that I found interesting is it says, "And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother send us grace. As if through a dungeon grate he peered with broad and burning face." Why does it call it a dungeon grate?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I bet this actually is very significant. Well, one thing I realized is that he spread the sun several times, right? Yeah. Oh, I've got to just look back now and see where the sun was. So when the sun first shows up in the first part, the sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he, and he shone bright. And then part the second, the sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. So now the sun is not so clear. But in this one, it's actually setting. But that ship is blocks.
Like a dungeon gate. Death's walking up at sundown. And that's really scary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's scarier than the albatross.
Yeah. Okay. Look at the timing on this. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. "The game is done. I've won. I've won," quoth she, and whistles thrice. The sun's rim dips. The stars rush out. There you go. Right at that moment.
What's the significance of the three whistles?
Yeah. There's got to be 3 responses to the 3 whistles. Anything else y'all want to talk about?
So me and Miss Angelica agreed that life and death is worse than death. But why is life and death pretty? And death is
Great
terrifying.
question.
I think that life and death is a nightmare. Isn't that what it said?
But
She's pretty, but she's a nightmare, which is weird.
is that saying like you get this wonderful thing that is life, but in a nightmarish way? Like, is that like it's like reflecting off of her looks? Because I know death is always like looks are often symbolic when it comes to personifications. So there has to be something behind why she looks like that.
Yeah. Wait, let's read her description one more time.
Her lips were red. Her looks were free. Her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was white as leprosy. The nightmare, life, and death was she, who thicks men's blood with cold.
Ooh. It's a great question. I don't know.
She's got yellow hair, which is usually seen as beautiful. If somebody's blonde, then they're instantly, oh, that person's supposed to be pretty. And then she's got red lips and white skin, which are all just signs of beautiful things often in descriptions, like Helen of Troy and so on. But she sounds nightmarish.
Yeah.
So the leprosy part, so it's white as leprosy.
Exactly. It's not white as a pearl.
Yeah. Or something pretty, it's white as something horrifying.
Right. Which I can see how someone who's very, very sick, also blonde hair can be lifeless. But I don't know, red lips, I think is a good thing too. It's not a sick thing.
No.
Right? So yeah, that's a great question. And another thing that confused me from the stanza is who thicks men's blood with cold. That sounds like death.
It also sounds like a frozen terror, like my blood.
Oh, that's what it is.
It's like terror. Yeah.
Who terrifies men. Yes. I see. Very good. Why do you think that authors contemplate the idea of life and death? How does that match with reality?
Because they're really depressed.
Because sometimes life isn't worth living, right? At least it feels like it.
I think that it's planted in our hearts that heaven is better than life on earth. I think that authors want to explore that regardless of their beliefs or religion, because that is planted in our hearts in general. Like we were talking about Greek mythology, how everything has some truth in it.
Yeah.
Like there's something greater.
Let's end with our questions and predictions.
Is the mariner the one talking?
Will the mariner be a ghost?
Does he get rid of the albatross?
What are the 3 things that are going to happen from the whistles?
Will life and death be a constant companion to the mariner?
Predictions?
I predict that he's going to be still living in misery at the very end when he's talking to the wedding guests. Like he's going to end there and he's going to be like, no, I'm here still living in misery. Or I'm forced to make up for my sins in like this purgatory-like state.
Yeah. I wonder if this is like a story like the Aeneid or the Odyssey, and if he will see these 200 men that were killed by death. I think this is a journey.
I agree with you. It probably is a journey, especially with how Samuel Coleridge has brought up the sun in a way that geographically is correct, you know, depending on which direction they're heading. So it does seem like it's set up in a way that you think about that their actual travels. Thank you so much for listening. You can see how Samuel Coleridge is helping me disciple my students. Think of the ideas he introduced. Like, what does true life mean? Is there a way to escape the curse that is brought upon us? These are huge ideas, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of the development of these teenagers. One of the really cool parts about doing a podcast with them is I get to re-listen to their ideas and insights, and I'm always so impressed. It's an honor to be a part of interacting with these great ideas. So go forth, pay attention to what your children are saying, and look for those big ideas that God is teaching them, and you'll be able to lead them into the next step. We're going to put the reading of the poem again at the end of the podcast.
After I read and discuss, I love to hear it again and see what else jumps out at me. Thank you for listening. May you be blessed in your own discussions with your family.
The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Part the Third. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched, and glazed each eye. A weary time, a weary time. How glazed each weary eye. When looking westward, I beheld a something in the sky.
At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at last a certain shape, I wist.
A speck, a mist, a shape I wist. And still it neared and neared. As if it dodged a water sprite, it plunged and tacked and veered.
With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could not laugh nor wail. Through utter drought, all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail! A sail!"
With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, agape they heard me call. Gramercy they for joy did gran, and all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all.
See, see, I cried, she tacks no more. Hither to work us wheel. Without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies with upright keel.
The western wave was all aflame. The day was well nigh done.
Almost upon the western wave rested the broad, bright sun. When that strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun.
And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother send us grace! As if through a dungeon grate he peered, with broad and burning face.
Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud. How fast she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun, like restless gossameres?
Are those her ribs, through which the sun did peer, as through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate?
Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was white as leprosy. The nightmare, life and death was she, who thicks man's blood with cold.
The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done! I've won! I've won! Quoth she, and whistles thrice.
The sun's rim dips, the stars rush out. At one stride comes the dark. With far-heard whisper, o'er the sea, off shot the spectre bark.
We listened and looked sideways up. Fear at my heart, as at a cup, my lifeblood seemed to sip.
The stars were dim, and thick the night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar the horned moon, with one bright star within the nether tip.
One after one, by the star-dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang, and cursed me with his eye.
4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one.
The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe, and every soul it passed me by, like the whiz of my crossbow.